Strain's not even at its full potential yet, and you can still make some pretty good builds with it. So in this one, I want to go over my work in progress build for my Strain Warlock. As I said in my last video, we don't have everything currently unlocked in the game, and a lot of the fragments will become available at a later date, and a bunch of those fragments are pretty crucial to the Warlock in my opinion. But even as of right now, running with what we have, you can still get a very strong idea of how good this build will be in the future. Really quick though, speaking of last video, the support from that video has just been insane. Within like 10 hours, it hit 50k views, which is just unheard of for me. So I truly appreciate all the support and love that you all are showing that video. I really hope I can continue to make builds for y'all and you get as much enjoyment out of all the future ones as much as you did that one. Once again, all the support you all show in any way really does help the channel out, and I truly appreciate it. But all right, let's jump right into it. I think the first thing we should talk about is the aspects, since these are going to be sticking around for a while. So we have Mind Spun Invocation and Weaver's Call. Mind Spun Invocation's really simple. All this is doing is basically improving your grenades, and the main grenade we're going to be running, because we want to have a Threadling based build, is going to be the Threadling grenade. Surprise, surprise. So this grenade normally will only put out 3 Threadlings when you throw it, but if you do use the aspect, you can actually consume your Threadling grenade, and this will perch 5 Threadlings onto you. So the way perching works, essentially every Threadling you have will just sit on your character, and when you shoot or do melee damage, they will actually come out and attack an enemy. So essentially with the aspect, you're just getting 2 extra Threadling grenades, which is nice, and you can also save them up for a different area if you don't need to run them. And the smart thing you could do is activate your Threadling grenade at the beginning, so your grenade is recharging over time while you keep your Threadlings going into the next area. But now we have Weaver's Call. So this is cast your Rift to weave 3 Threadlings and deploy any Threadlings you have perched. So anytime you place your Rift down, you will just create 3 Threadlings, which is already pretty good. But another cool aspect of this is that all your perched Threadlings will actually be deployed. So you can obviously pair this with Mind Spun Invocation to have those 5 Threadlings perched on you, then place your Rift down, and then you have 8 Threadlings going out to track an enemy, and they can do a hefty amount of damage. And the cool thing specifically about the Warlock is if your Threadlings will not hit an enemy, they will actually track back to you and perch on you, which then again can be used with Weaver's Call again to send them all out. It's really, really cool. Playing into Threadlings is really fun on the Warlock, and it's only going to get even better once we unlock more fragments. Now for our fragments, I honestly want to just kind of give some recommendations instead of going super in depth with everything, because again, we're going to be unlocking more in the future. But as of right now, I do have Thread of Mind, so when I defeat a suspended target, it'll grant class ability energy. I have Thread of Fury, so when I damage targets with a tingle, it'll grant melee, and Thread of Finality, so finish your final blows to create Threadlings, and then Thread of Wisdom, so when I defeat a suspended target with a precision hit, I'll create an Orb of Power. The only one that kind of matters, which I may take into my final build for this, is Thread of Finality, so when I get a finisher, I'll actually create some more Threadlings, which is really cool. Plus you do get recovery, which will help out with getting your Rift back, so you can throw Weaver's Call out a lot more often. But if we come take a look at some of our other fragments, we have things like Thread of Rebirth, so Strain Weapon Final Blows has a chance to create a Threadling, which is obviously very, very good. Even Thread of Transmutation can be pretty good. So when you have Woven Mel, Final Blows create a Tangle. And then the main one's going to be Thread of Evolution. So Threadlings travel further and deal additional damage. So you want to create Threadlings everywhere with this build. So this is just going to make them do more damage and track out enemies further, which is really, really cool. And then there's also a fragment called Thread of Generation. So dealing damage generates grenade energy. So when all these fragments come out, I do a bunch of testing. I'm probably going to be running Thread of Generation with Thread of Evolution, Thread of Rebirth, and then I'll probably also slot in a Thread of Warding, so when I pick up an Overpower, it will grant me Woven Mel. So between all those, you have damage reduction, you have an extra way to create a Threadling, your Threadlings do more damage, and you have your grenade energy coming back, so you can obviously perch your Threadlings with your Threadling grenade and Mind Spun Invocation. Sorry that was kind of all over the place, but I know a lot of y'all have been asking for a Strain build, but you can't really fully make it quite yet, especially a Threadling based build on the Warlock, until we get those new mods. And of course, I will make an updated finalized build once everything does come unlocked, so be sure to stick around for that. But okay, let's get into some weapon recommendations, and I think a main one we need to talk about is Quicksilver Storm. So if you don't know the way Quicksilver Storm works, essentially when you're shooting this gun, it will shoot out rockets, and when that rocket hits the enemy, it will actually load a grenade launcher shot into your gun. The grenade launcher actually does a good amount of damage to be a primary weapon, and it can easily one-shot a lot of enemies in the game. Well, now the catalyst has become available, and if if you don't know what the catalyst does, as you see here, it is nano entanglement. So this weapon's damage type becomes strand. Final blows with grenades from this weapon create tangles. So now you have a strand Quicksilver Storm that will create tangles when you do get grenade final blows. Now these tangles still have the tangle cooldown, so you still have to wait like 15 seconds when you make one, which does suck, but tangles are very strong with this build. And if you were able to spam them everywhere, I think it would be a bit broken. Now this is a fun option, but I'm gonna be honest with you, I think there is a better option, and that is the new hand cannon Round Robin. This does come with the perk Hatchling. So precision final blows are rapidly defeating targets with a non-precision weapon, spawns a Threadling at the target's location. Now this can also come with subsistence, so you have a reload perk in the first column, but obviously having the Hatchling perk so you can get a precision final blow to create a Threadling will be very good with the build. And then if we come back to Thread of Rebirth, so your strand weapon final blows has a chance to create a Threadling. That means now you could potentially be spawning 2 Threadlings every time you get a single kill with this hand cannon. Now, if we take a look at the Neo Moon weapons really quick, the other primary strand option you have is the SMG right here, but the perks in the left column honestly are not that good for PvE, and being that it is an SMG, it will be a little bit harder to guarantee those precision hits, since the precision hits do always give you a hatchling. And then also the origin trait nanotech trace rounds also kind of plays into the strand aspect as well. So overall, I honestly think this will be the best option for build crafting with it, but again, we'll just have to wait and see. Now for stat distribution, it's a no-brainer: 100 resilience, 100 recovery, and 100 discipline. Your discipline and recovery matter a lot because you want to get as much Threadlings on the battlefield as possible, and 100 resilience just for damage reduction. Now I do want to go over some artifact mods really quick because these also help the build out a ton. So you have things like Untangler, so when you destroy a tangle with a strand weapon, it will suspend targets damaged by the explosion. Suspend means they will just rise up in the air and they can't do anything to you. Obviously that's very good. Now you also have things like allied unraveling, so rapid weapon final blows with the strand weapon will make your weapon have unraveling rounds. This will basically make all those little strand nanite looking things fly around alongside also having Threadlings, so you kind of have like 2 different minions that are out damaging enemies pretty much at all times, which is really cool. Even counter weave is pretty decent, so when you stun a champion, you'll get some strain energy back. And since strain does have intrinsic champion properties, with things like unraveling rounds have an anti-barrier, and if you do suspend an unstoppable champion, you will also stun them. And then the final thing is threaded blast, so you destroy a tangle with a strand weapon and will create a larger, more damaging explosion. So you're basically kind of giving your strand weapons fire flying away alongside being able to suspend them, and you have unraveling rounds going everywhere, and then eventually you will have Threadlings also going everywhere. Now this would not be a companion build without the Swarmers. This has the exotic perk, well, Swarmers. Destroying a tangle spawns a Threadling, and your Threadlings unravel targets that they damage. So again, tangles are going to play a huge part of this build. You destroy them, you will make Threadlings, but another very cool part of this is that your Threadlings will unravel targets. So this means now your Threadlings will make the other little nanite looking things that go around that will also do damage, and now even your minions are creating smaller minions, and it is just very fun. Now since tangles are a pretty big part of this, just know that pretty much any of your abilities will create tangles. You don't have to run Quicksilver Storm to get those tangles with this catalyst. You can literally run pretty much anything you want to, and again, that's why I think Round Robin is going to be the best option in slot once we do unlock everything. But all right, let's jump into mods. And if you do want to copy anything on the screen really quick, you can go on and just, you know, copy this down, set it up for yourself before I go super in depth and try to explain more. But we're going to start off with the helmet, and I'm going to be running a harmonic siphon. So rapid strand weapon final blows create an orb of power. So obviously orbs of power are very strong because that's how you get armor charge now. But if you are also running that fragment where you get woven mail and you pick an orb up, that will also help out with some damage reduction and keep your survivability up. Now honestly, the other mods for your helmet don't matter as much because things like Ash's assets just won't work because you're not really using your grenade. Hands-on could work, but you don't have your melee up enough to take advantage of anything. So honestly, I just run a heavy ammo finder with the new mod heavy ammo scout, so I get more ammo drops, and then whenever I actually get my heavy ammo finder to proc, heavy ammo scout will also make it for my teammates. So very good team supportive role right here. You're just making heavy ammo for everyone. The main thing is your harmonic siphon, so you can make those orbs for woven mail and armor charge. Now we're going to be taking advantage of armor charge with grenade kickstart. So when your grenade energy is fully expanded, you'll regain some grenade energy. Now additionally, if you do have armor charges, it will consume them and you'll get more energy back. So this means now when I eat my grenade to make my Threadlings, I will just get a bunch of grenade energy back since I'm always going to have armor charge all the time. And then I also just slapped on a strand loader so I can just reload whatever strand weapon I'm running a little bit faster. But you can swap this out for pretty much anything you want to. If you want to run another grenade kickstart, you could do that as well. Now for my chest piece, I am running a concussive dampener. You can take whatever damage resist you want to, but I am going to be running charge up. This is going to be pretty crucial because this is going to increase your armor charge by 1. So now you can have 4 total armor charges instead of 3, and that is going to be very, very good because again, if you have 4, that means you're going to be getting even more grenade energy back when you consume that grenade. Now I'm also going to be running a stacks on stacks, so whenever I pick up an overpower, it will grant me an additional armor charge. So now I'm going to be getting 2 armor charges instead of 1 every time I pick an orb up. So this means now when I pick 2 orbs up, I will essentially have all my armor charges with charged up. I do also have a recuperation and innervation thrown in here. So recuperation will give me some health when I pick up those orbs, and innervation will give me some grenade energy, which again, you want to have up as much as possible so you can always create those Threadlings. Now finally, I am running Reaper, but as of recording this, it is disabled. But what this is going to do after you use your class ability, your next weapon final blow will spawn an orb. And then I will also be running Bomber, so whenever I use my class ability, I will get some grenade energy back. So the way this is going to work is obviously when you consume that grenade, you're going to get some grenade energy back. But what is really, really cool is that you can now throw your rift down to get even more grenade energy back, alongside being able to make an overpower on your next kill and having your overpower come from Harmonic Siphon. So you have 2 orbs, which then again will always give you max armor charges because you do have charged up alongside stacks on stacks. So picking up 2 orbs will give you 4, and then you'd have the armor charges again to use your grenade. So you're consuming that Threadling, you're getting a bunch of energy back, and then you're popping the Weaver's Call to proc your Bombers, to proc your Reaper. And essentially what you want to do is just have the ability to spam these pretty much over and over again. But that is pretty much the build. Again, you can already kind of see the true potential it has once we unlock all our other fragments, alongside maybe even having a crafted round robin, Reaper also being able to work again. This build is going to be very, very strong, and it is a lot of fun to play. And another thing to mention is also the Needlestorm Super is very good. This is very good for just clearing out a whole room of enemies. This makes Threadlings, and on top of that, it is also good for doing a bunch of single target damage. It is a one-off super, and it is just a nice addition to this build. I honestly think Strand, once we have everything unlocked, will be one of the best subclasses in the game for Warlock, rivaling something like Solar. We'll just have to wait and see, but I am excited for its potential. Now, if you were curious about my transmog, this is what I'm running. I know a lot of you always want to know the armor I'm running because I always change it out for literally every single build. I tried to go with a more witch doctor theme, trying to, like, you know, create your companions and stuff. I think I did an okay job. I think it looks pretty cool. But yeah, if you want to, you know, make your Warlock look like this, there you go. But all right, I think that is going to do it all for me. I will have a dim link to this in the description below if you want to check it out over there. And if you all did enjoy and learn anything new from this video, consider subscribing, and drop a like, and turn those notifications on. Also, if you'd like to join my Discord or follow me on any of my socials, all that will be linked in the description as well. But just know watching this video is way more than enough, and that every single bit of support from you all is truly appreciated. Thank you all so much for watching this one, and have a great day. Peace.